everybody. In this segment of the Key Moves for You, we're going to be looking at the pelvic patterns. These are very important discrete movements initiated from the pelvis. The pelvis, here we have a model. What these patterns really do is naturally activate your pelvic floor and your core. And they're very important movements for the spine because a lot of spinal movement is initiated from the pelvis. So therefore, it's important that we can develop a sense of felt movement and be able to do these little wussy movements, if you like, which act to change the shape of the pelvis, and in so doing, drive important movements from the spine and hips. Now, just to start, so that you're clear, it's important that you've got a bit of an idea of your own anatomy. Here's my model of the pelvis. If I look from the side, there's a big socket, which is where my hand is, well, like the ball from your hip joint. The top part of the front pelvic bone is here, which equates to this bony bit here. What's important is that you see at the bottom we have the sit bones, and then behind them is the tailbone. So for these movements of the pelvis, we actually use the sit bones as the initiation point. Here we're going to be looking at the first and second patterns. So pelvis from the side, you're going to be doing it on your back, but just so that you understand, the pelvis tips forward in first pattern, tailbone comes back, and then as it tips back, the tailbone rolls under in tuck. Back and forward. And we should be able to do that movement equally. Most people, though, with back and neck pain, back and pelvic pain, are very good at doing second pattern, but they have a very poor idea of first pattern. So first pattern is the movement we're going to be focusing on most. What's important that you realise is that as you come into first pattern, where the pelvis tips forward, the sit bones spread and the tailbone comes back. Notice the pelvic floor opening, and then in second pattern, the sit bones come together, tailbone tucks, pelvic floor closes, and these big pelvic bones at the top open. So it's this back and forward movement as the sit bones move back and forward. So we're going to do this on our back, and it's important that you have, if you're at all stiff in the upper back, that your neck is comfortable, have pillow supports around to support you, or here I've got what we call a spiky pod, which rocks and it's got a nice flat surface, and I'm going to show it on that just so that you get the idea. So the feet are bent at hip width apart, heels on the ground, toes forward, and what's important in these patterns is that the buttocks don't clench and the legs don't harden, that you want to be aware, if it's correct, you feel your lower belly work like your pelvic floor. Now my thumb is going to indicate the top front pelvic bone, and my sit bones are here at the base of my buttocks. So they're the 2 points. And what I want you to see, as I roll into second pattern and tuck my tail, my top pelvic bone comes back and my sit bone lifts. And then as I rotate the pelvis the other way, the front pelvic bone goes south and the sit bone points down. So again, keeping the legs light, and think about this movement. My fingers, the sit bones reach long and they widen and they point their light down, brings a movement through my spine. The tailbone is pointing to the floor. Notice my chin dropping. And then without pushing with my feet and clenching my buttocks, I'm now going to draw my sit bones together, let the tailbone tuck, let the back flatten, let the movement sequence through the spine, segment by segment. And again now into first pattern, follow my hands, sit bones reach long. And they widen and they point their light to the floor. And I'm feeling a very distinct arch. If you can see, my hand is slid under, and the arch of the back we want it as low as possible. Watch that a lot of you will try and do this by thrusting the ribs forward and holding a lot of tension in the mid-back, and that is not the movement. So again, the art here is being able to soften the legs to find this movement, and again, take it slowly. Again, my fingers are going to be describing the movement, going long and widening the sit bone and pointing back. Feeling the whole spine lengthen and traction. Notice my back of the neck is lengthened and my chin is dropped, and then as the sit bones come together, tail tuck, back flattens, chin comes forward. A lot of you are in this posture all day long. So here we're trying to gently open the spine to find how to mobilise your own spine. So take it slowly, take it gently. Sit bones reach long and they widen and they point back. Feeling your core on, feeling the rest of the spine will follow. So the ribs will lift but they don't thrust. And again, just finding this movement. Soft legs, feeling the spine lengthen. As you come into first pattern, the groins deepen. Notice my legs could float and still staying soft. I'm drawing my sit bones together, flattening my back. And again, reversing it. So again, I'm feeling this nice activation of the muscles over my low belly and my low back. A lot of you will feel discomfort as you do it because the joints are stiff, but it shouldn't be pain. And I want to repeat again, as the sit bones reach long, they widen, they rotate their light down to the floor, and you feel a tractioning and lengthening in your spine. Imagining a pixie, if you like, on the tailbone, drawing it long, rotating it down to the floor, and to do that, those sit bones need to widen. And you might stay there and then just focus on opening wide under the ribs. The biggest problem that we have learning this pattern is that we tend to flip to just gripping and holding far too much tension here, which stops the breath and inhibits the core. So we've really got to be able to try and widen the sit bones as we widen the legs. So just quietly practice that, because this is a really important exercise that we use to try and open the hips and tight legs and tight trunk and to get the spine moving well. Take it slowly, segment by segment. Remember, they're little tiny micro movements, not big ones. And it's this ability to develop subtle movement that we really want to go for. If it's right, as I've said, you'll feel your pelvic core, lower belly coming on, and the breath should be soft. Good luck. Take it gently.